Okay, you've heard my 2026 series that I want to finish, the 2026 series that I want to start. Well, hey everyone, I'm Nikhil with Shelf-Esteem, and these are my 2026 standalones that I want to complete. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Nikhil with Shelf-Esteem. I'm a composer turned booktuber. You can find my music in book adaptations such as Amazon's The Wheel of Time series, HBO's His Dark Materials, the official companion album for Brent Week's Lightbringer series, the main theme for the Edan trilogy by Philip Chase, and many others. I want to talk to you a little bit about a video that rounds out the trilogy of videos I've been doing in anticipation of us getting towards 2026, because as of this taping, we are already through mid-November. So it is time to start planning for next year, and what better way to do that than to plan to read some pretty great books. So as I mentioned in the cold open, I did a 2026 series that I want to start, 2026 series that I want to complete, ones that I'd already started. I really want to complete those series by 2026. And this one is going to be about standalones only. I'm not going to talk about series I'm continuing or anything like that. These are dedicated standalones. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Stephen King, my favorite author of all time. I have 5 Stephen King books on this list, ones that I really want to tackle. So without further ado, let's jump on into them and all the other books. If you like this kind of video, please do me a favor, like and subscribe, watch it till the end, share it with a friend. All these are free ways that help support the channel and keep this channel going, keep the lights on, so to speak. And let's jump on into the book. So I'm going to rattle off some of these Stephen King books first in no particular order, and then jump on into the rest. The first one I want to talk about is one that I've heard about for a long time. It's a bit of a chonker at 800 pages. This is Doomakey. It's one of his newer ones. I've been really falling in love with Stephen King's new books lately. I feel like he had a career renaissance in the mid-2000s that continued up until about maybe, I don't know, maybe 2018 or so, and now it's kind of hit or miss, but there are still some great hits out there, and this one is no exception. This one is called Doomakey. I don't know much about this one except a guy who has like amnesia, and he goes to on a vacation to, I guess, paint and just explore painting, and he's becomes really good at painting, but the painting itself has a terrifying power. I don't know more than that, but of course that sounds like a very Stephen King type of a plot. And I've heard this is really underrated gem, so I'm really looking forward to checking it out. I am leaving the links to all these in the description as well if you want to check them out as well. But are you going to read Doomakey next year? Let me know if you want to buddy read it. Have you read it? Would you recommend it? Let me know. The second one is a short story collection. This one is called Skeleton Crew. Now, this one famously has The Mist, and I believe The Monkey, which was just adapted by, what was that? Osgood Perkins is the name of the director. And I heard the movie wasn't that great, but I'm excited to see the story from whence it came. And The Mist is, I watched the movie, I loved it. I think I remember reading The Mist when I was younger, but I can't quite remember if I actually did or if I just watched the movie and got confused. But I'm excited to read that and all the other stories as well. The third book I want to talk about is one that is criminal that I have not read it, being such a Stephen King fan and a Stephen King completionist. But sometimes you have to save some of the best for the end, because otherwise you're just reading all the duds. That's no fun either. And this one is The Green Mile. I cannot believe I've not really read this. I started it, I remember when it first came out in 1997, I want to say. At that time, it was serialized, and I read the first of 6, I believe, volumes that made up this book, and I enjoyed it, but I kind of fell off of it, and I never really read it after that. And I never watched the movie, which is insane as well, because I promised myself I would read it before I watched it. So I have a lot of work cut out for me, my friends, but Green Mile, for those of you who don't know, I believe the guy who is accused of killing kids, Coffee, is in jail and on death row, and he has some sort of magical powers, perhaps. I don't know beyond that anything else, but I've heard it's a dramatic story for the ages and one of his best. So that is on the list, absolutely. Now, speaking of one that needs to be a counterpoint to one of his best, is arguably one people consider one of his worst. So why am I reading it? Well, I'm a Stephen King completionist. I want to read everything he's written, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I'm going to be reading The Tommyknockers, an alien invasion story, I believe. Don't know much about it beyond that. I have it sitting on my shelf right now on hardcover, so I will absolutely be reading from the genuine article. But I've heard it's bad because it was in peak Stephen King's cocaine era, and that leaves much to be desired, maybe when from the writing standpoint. But I am also curious to see what made it so bad. Do I feel the same way? So if you are contrarians to that point of view and you liked Tommyknockers, let me know. Sell it to me in the comments. I would love to know from you as well. Then the next one and the last Stephen King book on this list is Black House. This is a sequel to The Talisman. So I guess it's kind of a series, but it's more of a duology, kind of a standalone as well. And this one is about Jack, the main character in The Talisman, and kind of he's grown up and it's become its own story. It's more of a detective novel. And I've heard it's great. So I'm curious to see how I feel about it. And if I liked it better than The Talisman. Because honestly, The Talisman felt quite uneven to me. And I don't know how I feel about it now. I think maybe a 3 stars out of 5. So I'm curious to see if I like this one better. But it'll be a source of much speculation and comparison, I'm sure. The next one I want to talk about is one that I'm very excited about because it's been sitting on my shelf for a while, and now we're branching out into different territory. This one is David Mitchell's Cloud Atlas. Don't know much about this one, except it's a series of stories in different time periods, and it explores the nature of time and the interconnectedness of human beings, I think. So it's pretty heady. I've heard it can be confusing to some, but it requires some focus and depth, and I've heard people love it. Forget it. There's some booktubers I know have specifically talked about how much this book means to them. So I'm excited to check this one out as well. The next one is one that I started but never completed, and it's kind of criminal because I own almost all his novels out in the outside shelf. That's James Michener's Alaska. I got about halfway through, and then Buddy Reads kind of took over my life the rest of the year. But luckily, James Michener is such a vivid writer that I remember everything, down to the last detail. I really remember everything so clearly, so I could pick up right where I left off, and no harm, no foul. But if you don't know about his books, he writes about places from their inception till modern day. So Alaska, the continent of North America being formed, and Alaska and the land bridge and everything, and then woolly mammoths crossing over the land bridge, meeting humans for the first time, all the way down through the expeditions in the 1700s and on to present day. It's historical fiction, so these are fictionalized characters, but around real things that could have happened. And man, he paints with a beautiful, beautiful palette, because you really feel like you're learning so much whilst being, taken in by the story, which is really a series of vignettes because it crosses tens of thousands of years of history. So beautiful book, excited to finish it, and I really only have about 350 pages, I think, to go. So not bad. It's doable, right? Amongst all these other books. The other one I want to talk about is Sphere by Michael Crichton. Now, I've read Jurassic Park. I haven't really read much Michael Crichton beyond that, but I own almost all his books. Thank goodness for dollar sales, my friend. Library book sales, support your local library. I get so many great books from that. But I got Sphere. I think there's some underwater, some sort of mysterious thing in the depths of the water or something like that. I don't know much about it beyond that, but everybody says it's one of his best. So I figure if I'm going to restart my Michael Crichton journey from scratch, this might be the best way to go. But let me know if you disagree, if you have other ones you would recommend above Sphere. But I think Sphere is going to be the one that's going to go on my list. And hell, maybe if I have a little bit more time, then I can add another one into the list. So who knows? We'll see how that goes. The next one I want to talk about is a little bit of a different one. It's more of a mystery drama. This would be my first book by Dennis Lehane, who I've heard so much about from the Quiluminati, which is Mike's Book Reviews, Talking Story. Brian over at Belltube and Dr. Fantasy, Philip Chase, are reading together a book every quarter. I believe they picked Mystic River as their pick, and they all loved it. And I've been excited about it ever since I first heard about it from Josh from Red Fury Books. He loves Dennis Lehane. So I'm like, okay, I want to start my Dennis Lehane journey. Where do I start? Probably Mystic River is a good place to start. I believe this is about a few friends. They experience some sort of one of them gets kidnapped or something like that. And then the aftermath of that and how their lives end up as adults and the messiness of living. I heard it's a very sad story, but it's also beautifully written. Dennis Lehane's prose is supposed to be amazing. So I need to find out for myself, see how I feel about this. But on to other books that I feel are kind of branching out from my regular fantasy, sci-fi, horror. And this is a crime fiction. This would be my first Michael Connelly book. And where do I want to start? With the first Harry Bosch novel, of course, The Black Echo. Again, I don't know anything about this. If there's a better Michael Connelly book to start with, let me know. But I had the first 3 in an omnibus sitting on my shelf. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll read the first one and read it in publication order. See. But I believe Harry Bosch is like a private investigator or a cop or something like that. And it's a crime fiction series. So that will be another one on the list. The other one I want to talk about is My Friends by Frederick Bachman. It's his newest novel. I have not read any Frederick Bachman. It's sitting on my Kindle, collecting dust and begging to be read. And it's about 4 friends coming of age story, I believe, and the magic of friendship. And I'm excited to see if it's a counterpoint for something like Mystic River, which seems to be more heavy and sad. So we shall see. Is there a better place to start with Frederick Bachman? I can always get a different book if My Friends is not the best place to start. If you've read My Friends, let me know. I'll be curious. And maybe it's just an excuse to buy more books. Who knows? The next one I want to read is another historical fiction novel. This one is by David McCullough. Now, I don't know anything about David McCullough, but I did get his book for $1, and that is the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel 1776, The American Revolution, as a backdrop for these characters. Again, heard it's amazing, and I'm excited to read my first David McCullough book, and I figured this would be a good place to start. So, and it's short, so that is also a selling point. The next book, another short book. Actually, the last 2 on this list are short, so thank goodness for shorts amongst the chonkers, right? This one is called Norwegian Wood by Murakami. Besides the obvious Beatles reference, I think it has nothing to do with that at all. It's supposed to be, I think, about grief or something, or depression. I don't know exactly beyond that, but I've not read any Murakami. And this is the shortest one on the list. I figured it's sitting on my shelf. It's been sitting on my shelf for years. So this might be a good place to start. Yeah, I'm excited about it. The last book I want to talk about is a sci-fi novel, but it's kind of unique in the pantheon of sci-fi, I believe. I think it was just a standalone. There was no series attached to this. And this one is by Walter M. Miller, sitting on my shelf for a while as well. This is my attempt to tamp down my ratio for the amount of books bought versus the amount of books read, right? This is called A Canticle for Leibowitz. I read the description of this one and it almost seems a little comedic, you know. Many years in the future, last vestiges of humanity are kind of eroded, and there's a monk that finds, you know, a shopping list and a couple of other relics of the past, and he akins it to like some holy deity thing or something. I don't know where it goes from there. That's just kind of the beginning of the description of the novel. But I've heard this is, again, one of those pillars of sci-fi for it being also as unique as it is. So another book that I want to read. This is a long list, my friends, and I think I spoke pretty fast. Maybe it's the coffee speaking, but what did you think of this list? Any that I should be adding to this list from these authors or any other ones? Let me know in the comments below. Do you have any standalones you're excited to read in 2026? Let me know also below. Let's keep this as a primer, a jumping off point to conversation, so we can all chat together about books that we feel we should read and that other people should experience as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for being here. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for supporting the channel. I'm Nikhil with Shelf-Esteem. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. And I hope you have a wonderful next couple of days until the release of the next video. Take care.